Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another glorious edition of the best darn show on the internet, the Oversharon Show. Yay, we are back from our Thanksgiving break, and we are so excited today to talk about the Tao. How you doing, Sharon? How's it going?
It's going well. I've had some interesting days. It's been Cyber Week allegedly. It's crazy how this happens. First you got Black Friday, right? And you're like, "Oh, everybody gets deals on Black Friday." But then they started like doing Black Friday week, like starting the week of, like earlier. And then you got, "Oh no, it's Cyber Monday." And so you think, "Oh, Cyber Monday is the deal. That's when you're going to get a good deal." And then it's like, "No, now they're calling it Cyber Week, I think." Or I saw that somewhere. I'm like, I mean, I guess it's like a couple weeks of good deals, maybe. But anyway, I
Well,
bought a
you get the
couple new
really you
little
get the
decks.
best deals. You get the best deals after Christmas. I have found if you really want to buy something
Sometimes,
for yourself, yeah, because
sometimes, yeah.
whatever's not bought. I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying right at the end?
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say I bought a couple new little decks. Um, I'll just show you the little tin.
Yeah,
It's a
that's so cool.
pocket.
Here, yeah.
This a round deck. It's the Pocket Archetypes by Kim Krans. And then the fact that it was archetypes, like I had this on my wish list for a while because yeah, I like to wait till I see if it's like a good deal or whatever. So anyway, I had that one, and then Pocket Spirit Animal by Kim Krantz, the same girl. So I got those for kind of for fun, play around with them maybe. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's cool. I saw a deck online because I was looking through some things. I did not buy it though because I guess it's a limited edition or something, but it's a something about adventures or something in Wonderland and Oz. So it has themes from Alice in Wonderland and like Oz, Wizard of Oz, and
Ooh, that
Oz.
sounds fun.
Yeah, $85,
Okay.
and then there's a gold edition that's $128. So
Oh, wow.
probably not going to be getting it anytime soon, but I'll keep
The
my
big pill makes you
yeah.
larger and
One
smoky.
pill makes you larger. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I always think of now, the Alice in Wonderland stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
Jefferson
oh.
Airplane song White Rabbit. What an amazing song.
I
Oh,
ended up yesterday because it was Cyber Monday, because I had bought those on like Black Friday, and I was like, I thought I was like done. Like I thought I wasn't gonna buy anymore. And then yesterday I was like, you know what? Let me just double check.
let me just see.
And I bought two other decks. One is the Loteria, like Spanish bingo, like Mexican bingo, basically. It's like a based on that kind of look. So that's that tarot. And I got the Golden Art Nouveau. Have you seen that one?
Sounds familiar.
It's really pretty. So when I get those in the next couple of days, I will well, maybe next show I will show them.
Yeah,
Let's see.
definitely. I we got a new tarot deck. We went to REI because I had a customer that gave me some REI or a
Gift
client or
card?
whatever. Yeah, gift cards for like a tip a few months ago. So we went there and oh my God, like I've been REI, like I've been going there since like the mid to late 2000s probably or whatever, right? And they always want you to join. Sometimes I join their little membership thing because it makes sense if you buy something that's expensive enough.
Sometimes you join, you only do it once. You only have to do it once.
Yeah. Well, no,
If
isn't it
you
once a year or something?
No, it's once. It's a one time and then it's you have it forever.
Oh, so I probably have one then. Oh my God, that's so funny. Maybe I don't. Maybe I used to use my friends. But anyway, we were just in there buying a couple little things and we went to two separate registers right next to each other because we both had things or whatever. And they were like so high pressure about trying to get us to join. She's like, well, you pay 30 now, but then you get a $30 gift card for next time. And then you could save 20% on everything that you're buying. Like you couldn't get the sale, I guess, unless you remember. And I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
that makes sense. I'm like, I'll save about 15 or 20 bucks. I'm like, yeah, but if I come back here, what am I going to buy here that's $30? I'm like, I'm going to spend another couple $100, like it
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense.
Nothing is just $30.
What's that?
Nothing is just
Yeah,
$30.
that's what I mean. So And it was just a really off-putting experience. And I was like, almost at the point where I'm like, you know what, never mind. And they're like, oh, you need your receipt because if you're not a member, you need a receipt to return it. And I was just real nice and left, but I wanted to be like, I'd rather burn all this merchandise and return it. Don't worry. If I don't want it, I'll eat it. I'll give it to somebody. Like, I'm not coming back here. You can put a gun to my head. I'm not coming. Like, it was such a weird experience. Like I said, I've been there a bunch and they're usually, they'll ask you about the membership and it does make sense. But I told them, I'm like, and Elizabeth is at the other.
I can't believe they're so pushy. Like,
usually
I don't know. I guess. Yeah, I wouldn't think they are. Like,
that's why I brought it, and that's the reason why I brought it up, because it reminded me of cult like behavior. It was so crazy. Funny. Like, you don't want to be a member, and just the way they were talking about it was so funny. I'm like, I don't join clubs, lady. Like,
I guess we haven't been bothered because Cody is a member.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So,
and like I said,
I've gone before, and I don't remember them being so pushy about it.
Maybe I am a member. That would be even more funny. I guess I could go back there with my receipt then and get my money if I'm a member. I'll be like,
well, you could double check with like if your phone number or your email address,
right?
And then find out if they have an account for you, and if you changed your number or something, double check that or changed your email.
I've had the same number since 1998 or 9.
Okay, yeah, so that'd probably be the same number.
No, but there's a couple different. It could be a home phone number or whatever. But so, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because if you want to witness cult-like behavior and you want to go check out an REI and the people in there were just not the workers. It's funny because we looked up ratings afterwards and somebody was like, because people kept coming up to us and asking us if we needed help and stuff. It was crazy. We were just looking at like gloves and hats, like we weren't looking at big ticket items or anything. And so I was like, all right. And we read the review and one of them was like, I felt like I was like, they thought I was going to steal something. And they're like, it's funny as a white person in West Hartford, like, because West Hartford's like a real nice town. They're like, it just felt weird. And I was like, yeah, I kind of felt like that too. Like, really? And I, whatever. I'm just venting and scatting. We're not victims, everybody. But it was just so that was part of my week. And then I also somehow hurt my wrist or feels kind of like a carpal tunnel-y kind of thing, but I don't think that's exactly what it is. So for like the last week though, it's been kind of locked up. So I've been even more offline and stuff than I usually am because I don't want to use my hands to type and stuff. So I'm even more hermit mode, but it's feeling better. Started feeling better yesterday and today is feeling much better. I just noticed if I don't use it, I got this cool little brace at CVS. That's another CVS. It is a public service announcement. If you're ever going to shop at CVS, get the app because this thing was $38 at CVS.
But the app had a coupon
on the app. It was it was 36 change retail in the store. Online or in the app, it's 28 retail.
Oh, it's
because they have different prices, right? And you can't do anything about it. Like, sorry, you gotta, so I talked.
You have to have the app or whatever.
You have to put it on the app, yeah. And then they had extra 20% off. So I went in there and I didn't have the app set up, whatever. I just bought it for $30, and then I went back the next day and bought another one for $23. This one was $38, and the other one was $23. So I'm just gonna go return the one for $30. So anyway, but everything was 20% off on the app. It was crazy. I guess it was just for this Black Friday or whatever, but it's nuts. I don't know. Everything seems to be run by AI or computer now because they just must know the optimum prices they could charge for certain areas. It's crazy. So, but anyway, crazy. I just figured I'd let people know. Get that CVS app because there's certain things that are cheaper than other places because I'm a very scavenger shopper. So they have this awesome coconut water that I like there, and everywhere else it's $5.50. At CVS, for some reason, it's $3.99. Don't tell CVS because they'll raise the price. But anyway, so
don't tell them.
I always go buy all the coconut water they have. I always go up there like 8 of them. They're like, "What are you doing?"
One time, I think it was at a CVS. We just walked in there to get something random. I can't remember what it was, like tweezers or a nail clipper or something, and we passed by like the aisle of where all the water bottles were. And there was like a 6-pack of like the big bottles of Fiji water. And they're like usually like $15. For whatever reason, they had marked them down to like $4 or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll get one of these because if you need a water bottle, At least it wasn't $15 for a 6-pack.
Yeah. They always have crazy sales there at this isn't a CVS commercial, everybody. Maybe it is. Hey, tell them you heard about them on the Overshare Show. If you haven't heard of CVS by now, you definitely don't live in this country.
In a city.
Or even, I mean, we were like in the nowhere middle of Maine, and there was like a CVS.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but anyway, I have a quote here. I could pull up if anyone. This quote, very interesting. I found this when I was looking at the lead singer of Lamb of God has a book out on pre-order. I guess you can pre-order or whatever, and it's all about self-work. And this is one of the quotes in the description for the book. So this isn't the guy, obviously. This is Ma Padma. Meditation is that 180-degree turn that strengthens our capacity to trust, as it puts us in touch with a silent guiding force that is far greater than ourselves in its wisdom, support, and sustain. Oh, it's let me do that again.
Far greater than ourselves in its wisdom, support, and
than ourselves in its wisdom, support, and sustaining capacity. There we go. To relax into the flow of the Tao and its unfoldment is to experience being at home in life. This meditation takes us to what has been called the still point, the center of the cyclone, the great silence, the inner Himalayan peaks.
Holy smokes.
I love it. The inner... Here, it's a picture. Okay. I was going to try to highlight it, but it's yeah, very, very powerful, good quote. And it's really what the Tao is about. So many times it says, like, just stay at the center of the circle, or, when just be balanced. So it kind of defaults back to balance everything. And I like this quote because it talks really about meditation, and it talks about really what meditation is. Really, it's like being at the center, right? Just being okay with letting things go. Really, that's really what meditation is. Meditation is like practice for letting go. You're basically just letting things go as they come in, your thoughts, whatever it is. And I mean, for me, it really was the thing in my life that turned everything around. I started to really just change my behavior, because I think what it is we just get lost in the moment. We're kind of like wind up robots, or whatever. You wind it up and you just let it go, or like a toy car, you wind it up and let it go. Those toy cars in 2024 with the
autopilot.
Yeah. It's like, oh, there we go. Autopilot. It's like a Tesla driving itself. And
or when those Waymo cars.
Yeah. And when you start to meditate, then it's like you wake up. And that's why I love the whole, I think it's way overused though, but the analogy of waking up, because it really is like what it is. Like you're waking up to what's really going on. You're like, oh, this whole time I've kind of been asleep. I've kind of been on autopilot. And as you start to meditate, that's really what happens. You wake up and you open your eyes to the present moment. And then you realize that all these things in the future that you've been worried about your whole life, it's like one after the other. Something happens. Oh, there's something. There's always, you start to realize there's a lot of time in between all those bad things. And some of those bad things you're worried about, they don't even happen. And the ones that do, there's all this time in between that you can enjoy and have a great life and not be worried. And then when those bad or whatever negative situations happen, then you could just be in the moment and experience them as they happen. And you can ask, what's the lesson here? You ask questions like that. And this way, you don't feel like such a victim. So
I had to do that recently. Yeah. I
do it every day, probably. I'm like, why?
Yeah. I had a situation where I had to be like, this is happening for a reason. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it's to test my ability to stay grounded and not, go like freak out about a situation. And I had to do a reading. I had to do a tarot reading for myself about it because I was so flustered. And the funny part about it was the tarot reading was basically like nullifying the whole thing by saying, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you about something else going on in your life that you need to hear. And it has nothing to do with this because this is irrelevant. And that gave me so much peace, But yeah, I'd had to talk myself through some things. And I'm like, why am I fearful? Why am I afraid? what am I worried about? What can harm me? Like, what can truly harm me? Like, and if something's meant to happen, it will happen because it's God's purpose and plan. Like, nothing that happens to you is not part of the plan. Did I say that right? Everything that happens to you is part of the plan. I have to say it in the non-epiphatic way.
In the affirmative. Yeah, because
In the affirmative.
Well, it was a double negative, but it was the correct usage of a double negative. So it's like,
yes.
So, haha.
Yeah. Haha. Yeah. What I like about this quote and what it did for me when Brandon sent it to me, actually, I didn't get to like go deeply into thinking about much of it, but the very beginning, it says, it is that 180-degree turn. That's strange. To me, it's like, holy smokes. I never thought about it as, you're always looking outward. And then it's what if you do that 180 and you look back into yourself? And that imagery is what like makes sense. Like, it's like, holy smokes, that makes sense.
So much sense.
Wow.
And I had this realization the other day. I mean, I don't really know what it was, but all these thoughts and hermiting and stuff. But
oh my God.
Just what you said is perfect, because our whole lives we've been looking outside. And what if it has to do with this whole realm, right? Like, we're electricity or energy. And normally we're just flown around being energy, but something happens to us and we get inverted. And then all of a sudden we think we're physical, or our consciousness sees this illusion, because it technically is really an illusion. This isn't really stuff, like according to science, It's just energy. So if it is energy, we turn around. And then when we look inward, I think that's when we're looking at the real thing. Like when you do mushrooms or whatever, and you have a crazy trip and all that, or you meditate a lot or you have an experience like Joe P had. And we talked about that experience that he had when he just felt like one with everything. It's just a flip, right? You're looking inside. And to me, that just kind of dispels every kind of theory about what this realm is. It's nothing.
Oh God.
Is it flat? Is it a fucking... No, it's nothing. It's literally nothing. But it really is no thing. So it's just nothing you could describe, right? It's nothing you could describe, although to say it's energy, and any description of it, anytime I think you feel like you're going to try to describe what this realm is, or or maybe not just a description, but anytime you're going to try to get I make a claim, I know what this is. That's when, oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. That's when, or I forgot how I was going to put it, but that's basically when you are, oh yeah, okay, so I remember now. So that's when you're denying the mystery. Whenever you feel like you can make a claim about what this realm is, or a certain claim, that's when you're just denying the mystery. That's really all you're doing, because the person in that scenario wants to be in control, and they're afraid to not have control, because if they don't know what this is, then what the hell does that mean for their whole life? And oh my God, what I've been doing my whole life. Oh my God,
absolutely
scary question. So
it's scary for people to not know, because the mystery freaks people out, the unknown.
I should start the thing where I just go on everyone's show and debate whatever they are. Like if they're a flat earther or whatever it is, I'm like, it's nothing. I'll just keep ranting. It's nothing.
It's no thing. It's no thing.
It's no thing you could describe. It's a mystery. Mystery realm.
Oh my God. It's so funny.
We went from realm earthers to mystery realmers. We should probably
I'm
right now.
I'm pulling, huh?
Oh no, you got to pull a card. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I am
crushing it.
Ace of Wands. Wow, this is so pretty. I love this deck. The Tarot of the Divine. So pretty, isn't it?
Wow, that's cool. We just recently both pulled aces last week. I think Elizabeth pulled the Ace of Wands and I pulled the Ace of Cups. There you go.
Oh, so what's funny is that I was missing one, because the last time I just left it in the book. So I was missing one as I was pulling. So We didn't get the one that we were supposed to get that we got last time because of that. But it's fine. It was meant to not get picked. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
There's a reason. Go ahead. Sorry.
Ace of Wands is the magic paintbrush from China. It's from a Chinese folk tale. It says the Ace of Wands represents inspiration, a sudden creative force. The magic paintbrush embodies these qualities with passion and daring. The magical moment right before the ink hits the paper and all the dreams and possibilities are within reach. Upright, it means excitement, creativity, a spark, growth, and new beginnings. And reversed, it means delays, bad news, a creative block, and wasted talent. Well, it's crazy. I've been doing a bit of readings for myself. Not a lot, but, but I've been seeing the new beginnings
good.
a lot.
Well, that's what you're working on, especially with your creativity.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too.
And I'm hermiting. So like maybe the new beginning is like getting out of the hermit stage.
Well, a lot of times before people create things, they do go into a hermit mode because you have to get your thoughts together. All the other stuff sometimes is noise. That's why I feel like I haven't really been able to watch videos and stuff like once in a while here or whatever there. I'll watch like a Bashar clip or something, But
yeah.
I feel like that's the other reason why I don't really watch stand-up comedy right now too, because like when I'm in this marination stage, I don't want other things coming in.
Yeah.
To affect it, and then you end up sounding like like half the when I started comedy in like 2013, half the comedians that were starting out, they had like the cadence of Louis C.K. They didn't even realize. I probably was doing it too. You just sound like whoever you
Someone
like. You emulate them a little bit. And this one guy, he was like it was like a Louis impersonation. I don't even think he realized he was doing it. I'm like, I think you're impersonating Louis C.K. Yeah, but it's the same thing though, and it's because you're working on the Tao. I feel like you probably have all these things going, and it's probably going all the time, even when you're not working on it. You're like, and you don't even realize you're like in the back of your brain.
Oh my God. Well, and I've been reading all these books and diving into all kinds of books. And
I was going to say, what happens when you go out, right, is you have to interact with other people and they talk about all this other shit, you want to hear about. You just like, you want to talk about the Tao. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah, and all these books will end up saying something that contributes to, I'm always like finding the Tao in another book. I'm like, that's exactly what I was talking about from the Tao. Like that actually informs my view on the Tao, actually gives me a better perspective. Or, that's just reiterating what I've been thinking this whole time about the Tao. So it's, yeah.
Yep. Welcome to being an artist.
Thank you.
It's great. Sometimes Elizabeth's like this too. We'll just stay up all night doing something. The other night we were up to like 7 a.m. I mean, we took naps and stuff, and she has an issue with her hand too. She cut her hand, so like we both have issues with our left hands. Pretty funny. So the other night we were like napping and stuff, but we didn't really go to bed till like 7. She was up doing things and we were being creative, and it is sometimes when you have that flow, you just ride it. And that's, I think, what people don't understand. If you want to get a regular job 9 to 5 and work and have a career and all that stuff, I understand it. I get it. And it's good for some people, but some people that are artists, they just, like when I go to a normal job, I mean, maybe now it'll be different because I've been working on myself a lot more, but usually I'm just like, hit me with a hammer. You know what I mean? Like I need something challenging. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the life of an artist. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's dipping into that flow, creative flow.
Yeah, great card though. That's an awesome. All right,
Ace of Wands, fire action.
Yeah, I mean, the paintbrush thing is really cool too. I love that idea.
Oh yeah,
the one
paintbrush. And I've been penning my new version, right? I haven't worked on it for a while since I, gave and read out that first verse because it's just been busy, crazy, just been a lot of things going on. But yeah, I'll get back into it.
Yeah, that's more of a marathon, like a lifetime
Oh
kind of.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a lifetime goal type of thing.
I love it. All right. Well, speaking of the Tao, let's jump in.
Verse 64, and it's a
All right.
longer one.
I don't know what happened. Here we go. 64. So if you're new, thank you. Welcome to the Oversharing Show. Make sure that you subscribe and follow us and thumbs up and leave comments and all that fun stuff. Share us around. But from with our Tao episodes, we'll go through and read all 4 versions. We use 4 different versions. And then after that, we go and break them down. So I'm going to go and read Stephen Mitchell's version from 1988. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree, I'll start highlighting. Here we go. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project, I wanted to say projection. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what is almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus he has nothing to lose. I'm getting chills. When he desires, what he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus he can care for all things. All right.
Lovely. Dwight Goddard entitles us, Consider the Insignificant. That which is at rest is easily restrained. That which has not yet appeared is easily prevented. The weak is easily broken. The scanty is easily scattered. Consider a difficulty before it arises, and administer affairs before they become disorganized. A tree that it takes both arms to encircle grew from a tiny rootlet. A pagoda of 9 stories was erected by placing small bricks. A journey of 3,000 miles begins with 1 step. We've heard that line before, I'm sure. If one tries to improve a thing, he mars it. If he seizes it, he loses it.
So true.
The wise man, therefore, not attempting to form things, does not mar them, and not grasping after things, he does not lose them. The people in their rush for business are ever approaching success, but continually failing. One must be as careful to the end as at the beginning if he is to succeed. Therefore, the wise man desires to be free from desire. He does not value the things that are difficult of attainment. He learns to be unlearned. He returns to that which all others ignore. In that spirit, he helps all things toward their natural development, but dares not interfere.
All right. The Stan Rosenthal version from 1984, part 1, he entitles this Staying with the Mystery. Ooh, we were just talking about mystery. If problems are accepted and dealt with before they arise, they might even be prevented before confusion begins. In this way, peace may be maintained. The brittle is easily shattered. The brittle is easily shattered, and the small is easily scattered. Great trees grow from the smallest shoots. A terraced garden from a pile of earth in a journey of 1,000 miles begins by taking the initial step. He who contrives defeats his purpose, and he who is grasping loses. The sage does not contrive to win, and therefore is not defeated. He is not grasping, so does not lose. It is easy to fail when nearing completion. Therefore, take care right to the end, not only in the beginning. The sage seeks freedom from desire, not grasping at ideas. He brings men back when they are lost and helps them find the Tao.
Aleister Crowley entitles this Attending to Details. It is easy to grasp what is not yet in motion, to withstand what is not yet manifest, to break what is not yet compact, to disperse what is not yet coherent. Act against things before they become visible. Attend to order before disorder ariseth.
Yeah.
The tree which filleth the embrace grew from a small shoot. The tower nine-storied rose from a low foundation. The 10-day journey began with a single step.
Oh,
He who acteth worketh harm. He who graspeth findeth it a slip. The wise man acteth not, so worketh no harm. He doth not grasp, and so doth not let go. Men often ruin their affairs on the eve of success because they are not as prudent at the end as in the beginning. The wise man willeth what others do not will, and valueth not things rare. He learneth what others learn not, and gathered up what they despise. I'm surprised that doesn't say gathereth up.
all right.
Thus he is in accord with the natural course of events and is not overbold in action.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, sometimes it's confusing. I'm glad you were keeping an eye because I almost forgot that there was that second bit.
This kind of reminds me a little bit of the last verse and, stuff we've already heard a lot in the Tao, which is the message of basically just like, do your work and forget about it kind of thing. And, I guess I could bring this up. I'll just make a note, but what Aleister Crowley was saying kind of reminds me of self-sabotage too. We could talk about that, especially in like relationships and stuff. Sabotage. There we go. Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage, which is something. We'll elaborate when we get to that because I like this verse. These verses in the 60s and the later verses are really starting to kind of contain. So, I mean, they all contain so much, I guess, right? But it's like they're expert levels, kind of like you got through the first 50 or 60 verses. Now we're really going to lay it on. All right, so let's break them down. Stephen Mitchell from 1988. What is rooted is easy to nourish. Okay, that makes sense. If you root something, it's easy to, nourish it and to raise it. What is recent is easy to correct. So if you have a problem or a new habit or something that's new, it's easier to correct it. What is brittle is easy to break. That's pretty, and what is small is easy to scatter. You think about like saying this really reminds me of anything with like a habit that you have, right? Or one can have, or even, I mean, you could apply this to a lot of different things, but in the way of the Tao, oops, what did I do? Oh, did I pin myself? Are you still there? Oh, Sharon might have dropped out. I think I'm talking to myself, everybody. Yeah. Oh, all right. And Sharon's back. All right, everybody.
Sorry, guys.
That's the internet. It happens.
Freaking Wi-Fi went out for some reason.
Yeah, good thing we're not live. It only took a second for you guys to. So I was reading this, and So what I was saying basically is what is rooted is easy to nourish, what is recent is easy to correct, what is brittle is easy to break. This reminds me a lot of habits. That's what I was saying. So like if you have a habit or something, and then the what is small is easy to scatter. You think of an army or something, right? If there's like a group of people opposing you, right? It's easier to scatter them. But if they come back and it's everybody and there's like thousands of people, you're not going to be able to scatter them so easily.
I was thinking of scattering like soil or like seeds.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly. Or ideas, right? If you have an idea that you want to spread around or a podcast or whatever. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. And this is like, we're talking about what Marie Kondo, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Putting things in order before they exist. I mean, that's like.
You know what? That makes me think of a place for everything and everything in its place. So like when you're first starting to like learn about organizing, you learn that you have to have a place to put things that belong together where you'll find them together. Because if you have random stuff lying around, you're like, this doesn't have a home. This doesn't have a place. So like maybe that concept would be like, before you start putting stuff in a place, like have the places where they belong ready to go. And that would be like the mental part of organizing in your mind where the things will go before you have to put them there, before they show up.
Or you can even say something like before you even buy something or get it or whatever.
Make sure you have a place to put it.
Already have a place to put it before you. Yeah, it's so true.
Exactly.
So true. All right.
Yeah, because like, okay, some people say, and I just bought a few sweaters recently, been wearing a new one today. Some people are like, that are really good at this, right? Will be like, I don't buy something like a new item in my closet until I know that I'm going to have to remove something. So if I buy 3 new sweaters, then I'm going to remove 3 other things, like 3 shirts or 3 sweaters or whatever, because there's definitely going to be stuff that you're not going to use anymore if you like, unless you never had any of those things. Like, let's say I didn't have any sweaters. Then I probably wouldn't need to maybe get rid of other sweaters. But yeah, that's definitely a difficult thing to do. And I need to work on that myself.
But what if there's a sale?
I know.
This time
that was yesterday for me.
The Pendleton is where I get like my wool shirts like this, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, cool shirt.
Yeah.
I might have worn this before.
Don't get rid of a Pendleton, basically. Is that
well, I'm just saying
get rid of all the shirts that are not Pendletons before you get rid of a Pendleton.
Exactly. But I was gonna say, because they keep emailing every day because they have like 25% off or whatever, but it's like every day they're like, we know you want to buy something. I'm like, no thanks. I'm like, I'm good. I can't get rid of any of my Pendletons now, so how can I buy a new one? Right? I have enough.
Yeah. I was browsing their website the other day because I don't know why I thought of like clothing, and I was like wondering if like they had anything cool for like, I don't know, maybe if Cody would like something like that. I was just looking at the store and they have a bunch of, I didn't even realize they had like women's stuff. They had a ton of stuff for women. I was like, oh,
you guys can match because they have like a boyfriend flannel that's for women.
That's funny.
I think Elizabeth and
it's
I
the same.
Yeah. We have the same.
The thing is,
she has one of these actually.
It's like, a lot of it tends to be like flannel looking, like, what is it called when they're like checkered or like striped, but like almost like Native American type, Southwestern type.
Yeah, like this one. Yeah.
To it. Yeah. And I personally, that's not my style. I'm like more of like more solid colors, some stripes, but not anything too crazy. So some of them looked neat, but yeah, I was like, most of them were like meh, at least for me. There was some cool stuff. Like there was not that I would wear it, but like back in the day when I used to wear more skirts, it was a really pretty, like nice black wraparound wool skirt with fringes. That was pretty. But like,
And
I never wear skirts.
I was thinking about this earlier because you know how we were saying how we were like spokesmen for whatever we like. We just talk about it, and we should probably get paid. We should get paid to talk about like Wildling shoes and like fucking Pendleton. But I was thinking about, because I just talk about wool all the time. We ran out to the store earlier and I had all wool on, and it's like in the mid 30s here now. Finally, it's gotten cold, and I was fine with just this and a wool. I had like wool long johns and wool pants and my nothing even too crazy. But so I tell everybody about wool, and I was thinking about it, and you know I had this crazy idea that maybe one day I could be like a alpaca or sheep farmer or whatever, right? So I'm like, I'm actually helping, because if I'm changing the tide for everyone to go toward wool, you know, I'm creating the demand. So I just have to work on the supply part. That's really it.
Absolument.
Yeah, I probably won't do too well in Arizona, but you know, it does get
well,
cold.
northern Arizona.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the mountains too.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, speaking of Cody's sister came from your part of the neck of the woods, CT, Connecticut, yesterday, and she's here in Phoenix for work, and we're going to get to see her this week.
That's so cool. Tell her I said hello.
Take her up to the north, which is the reason up to Flag and, you know, Sedona and Cottonwood and Jerome, you know, all those places.
Sedona. All right, let's get speaking of Sedona. I'm sure they study the Tao a lot in Sedona when all the time. You want to so should we do the first page, you think? First two?
Yeah, let's do the first.
Okay.
Page. Yeah.
I love it. This one I really love. You know, and I've heard this put many other ways. A giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout, or, you know, like the whole thing about like acorn, like one acorn contains thousands and thousands of trees. You just didn't even realize, you know, the journey. And that phrase, even though it's really quick, I love it because, hang on, I'm trying to unshare. So many things that we want to tackle seem overwhelming. And I know I'm the same way, you know, like whenever I want to do
baby steps. Remember we talked about this?
Yeah. And that's exactly what this is talking about. Baby steps. So yes, thank you, Sharon. Baby steps. And another one here, the journey of 1,000 miles starts
with baby steps
beneath your feet, right? One step. Exactly. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Here we go with those nice paradoxes, right? Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. And a lot of this stuff has to do with forcing things, right? It's all about going with the flow. Like
power versus force.
Exactly. Right. The master uses what he is given at his disposal. I almost said at his disposal. At his disposal. It's like you're an artist and you're in a room and someone just gives you supplies and says, this is all you have, right? That's like life. Everything that happens to you, those are your art supplies. You can throw them away. You can hate them. You can tell them to fuck right off if you want. That's your right. Or, you know, you can look at them and see what you can use and what you could be grateful for and all these things. And this is a constant message that we always have on the Oversharing show. But it's funny that the Tao just keeps going back to it, right? It's like, the problem isn't everything else, guys. The problem is you and your perception of what's going on. Yeah, it sucks right now, but guess what?
Oh, it reminds me of an my brother-in-law used to say years ago, and I always remember it. But he's like, "You are the problem. You are the solution."
Yeah, exactly. So true. It really is. And that's why truth is so freaking offensive to people. Like, and when you get into this work, you realize it. And the first thing you want to do is point out everyone else's flaws. I mean, I still do it. You know, I could still will hang out with somebody and Elizabeth will be like, all right, give me the breakdown of that. What do you think? And I'm like, all right, this, you know. And I'm like, but none of that matters though, because they're doing their thing and it's perfect. It's me. You know, like what was the problem in that interaction? Like when I went to REI with those people that want to drive me to get to join the REI cult. The problem was me. I should have just joined the cult. No. But like if I really was upset and it ruined my day, right? Was it? Those people? No, it wasn't them. It was me.
Your reaction.
Yeah. So that's all we're trying to say, everybody. Nothing glamorous. No secrets.
It was a test for you. A test of
all these little tests. And I really feel like this whole realm,
patience.
this mystery realm that we exist in is a freaking test, right? Like, but there is, and that's the thing though. It's a test, but it's not the test that we're taught at our brainwashing schools that we go to or whatever. Right? There's no, you fail or pass or whatever. It's just a test of your
How
journey.
Dare you?
Yeah. You kind of just are like going along because you can't make the wrong decision. Even if you fuck up, there's always another.
How dare you say there's no heaven or hell? Yeah.
It's such a limiting belief system. And that's one of the reasons, we probably said this before so many times, but if someone says, like, if you're talking to a Christian, I don't suggest debating them, but if, you're having a fun conversation and they're trying to whatever, say they were saying something about the show, and a good defense I could say is like, listen, I understand that you believe in heaven and hell and stuff, but if you're doing good because you're afraid to go to hell, that means you are acting out of fear. And I don't think a loving God would want you to act out of fear. That's just what I'm saying. You're acting. Doesn't fear sound more like the other guy? The guy with the pitchfork and the horns. Doesn't he seem like the guy who's going to scare you into things? And it reminds me of that
oh my God. That's such a good point.
From Crowley in Bad Omens, the character Crowley, who talked about that. And he was basically saying, he's like, people try to blame all their bad deeds on hell. He's like, demons couldn't even think of half the things that humans could. He's like, they just do it and blame it on hell. He's like, what the fuck?
Wasn't that glorious to use your adjective of the day?
Glorious. Glorious and notorious.
That's what I love. I love that. I love that book. It's funny. I might listen to it again for fun at some point. Or watch the show again because it's a fun show.
That's why fiction, I think, could be so important to,
Yeah, because it's like metaphor and it's what do you call it? I always get mixed up between like simile? Satires and like satires and what's the other one? Parodies. I get mixed up with those, but making fun of like life and things that go on in life by writing like a little narrative about it, right?
Exactly. I do a lot of parody and satire myself every day. And I've also noticed that because we've been watching some newer shows. There's this show called You on Netflix, and whoa, if you're into like psychology and stuff, it's breakthroughs, like amazing. They even have some of the characters in one of the seasons, like they went to like a retreat, and they're talking about all this stuff that we talk about here, but then a lot of them that were running it too are total scumbags, right? So they'll talk about all this stuff and they project. It's so great to watch it in action though. But it really just leads me to believe that if this is what they're talking about in shows, like this stuff is starting to become mainstream. So, we've been talking about this stuff for at least 3 years now, and people have been talking about it obviously for a lot longer, but it feels like it's coming into the mainstream. And I only the reason I think it's coming into the mainstream is because people are feeling it. That window is moving, whatever it is, consciousness is rising, right? Everybody rises. So some rise higher or whatever. So because of that, the entertainment is going to reflect it, obviously, right? So it's a better time. Like I've always saying, it's a much better time now. There's no crazy, there's wars and there's terrible things going on all over the world, all over this mystery realm with things like that, but there's no major world wars going on. There hasn't been one in a while, right? There's all these little things. And I feel like it is because people's consciousness is at a point where they just wouldn't be able to deal with it. So yeah, it's getting better. Hallelujah, everybody.
Hallelujah.
I think that we finished that part. So let me pull this.
Okay. So I'll read the Dwight Goddard part.
Yeah.
And break it down. Okay.
Break it on down.
Bring it on down. All right. So it says, consider the insignificant. That which is at rest is easily restrained. Well, isn't that the truth? When you have something on the table, you reach for it, you hold it, it's fine. But if you have like a ball flying through the air or something and you're going to try to catch it, that's a little bit harder. It could hit you really hard all right. Anyway, that which has not yet appeared is easily prevented.
Oh, sorry. I was shaking my head. I just realized you probably couldn't see me.
No, that's okay. I did see you. I don't know if the
if everyone else can.
If everyone else
I'm
can,
agreeing with her, everybody. She's killing it.
The weak is that which has not appeared is easily prevented. So yeah, like if you are working on something and let's say you want to prevent something from happening, it hasn't happened yet, right? So it hasn't appeared. I mean, I don't know. I think that's self-explanatory. I'm probably trying too hard.
One thing I did want to say, though, it's a little hint and a clue into how creation is actually done on this plane. The mental, right? I think they're talking about the mental plane, right? They're like,
you're right.
While it's in the mental plane, you could still change it. But if you keep focusing on it in the mental, it's going to come into the physical.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Dude, speaking of that, what is that book I'm reading? As a Man Thinketh by James Allen? Is it? Wow. That book is really good. Now, I first listened to the version that Bootsy did because he has it on YouTube somewhere on his playlist. And I listened to his version. And then I was like, okay, I need to read along with this because it's like, there's a lot. It's a short thing. He reads it within like 40 minutes, I think. So it's like the book, but it's filled with like, I'm like highlighting every like sentence almost because it's like so good. Gosh, where is the book? Where did I put it? As a Man Thinketh. But what Bootsy did was he kind of rewrote it a little bit. He refashioned it to make it more, because it says as a man thinketh, and he kind of wrote as a human thinketh, because it was very centered toward maybe people who would be like, oh, it's not mentioning the woman or whatever, which to me is like whatever. But what I like that he did was there were parts in the book where it says things like a man, he XYZ, he does this, he does that, right? He turned it around and just said, you do this, you do that. If you do this, you will do that.
Bloody
so
brilliant.
he went from third person to second person. And I'm like, that is actually very helpful because it really makes you go, oh, me? Really? I guess I do that. So anyway, yeah, it's a short little book, but it's very powerful. It's really good. I did not, before I knew about his little collection of audiobooks that he's done, I had heard of the book, the name of it, but I had never looked into it. I didn't know anything about the author. I don't know that I do know anything about the author, to be honest. James Allen, but it was, I can't remember when it was written. It's older. But it's really good. It's short and it's really good. So I recommend.
I gotta check it out. I'm sure we'll put a link below. While you were talking in the beginning.
Yeah, I can put it. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I can put a link to his book.
Yeah, no worries. And check out more of his audiobooks too. Shout out to Bootsy, Owen Hunt. When you're talking about the whole man woman thing, it made me think of something because, and you know this, I think we've talked about this before, but they would originally humans were just referred to as man. So when
mankind, I mean, I think they added kind.
That's what they meant, right? So they meant mankind, but so in all these old writings, when you're like man, and the men, whatever, they just mean men and women.
Yeah.
Right.
And it doesn't bother me. It never bothered me. I know there's people out there who get offended for other people. So,
well, I'm about to blow your mind with this because I think what happened was back in the day when it was just man and everyone was called man, women were like, I want to be called something because, I get this insight, and this is nothing against women. Women are beautiful creatures. This is a joke for men, so you can laugh and realize the difference between men and women. But now that I've been living for a woman, in love with a woman for so long and get to see how she works, I think this is what happened, even though I wasn't there, but I could probably make a claim. It used to be everyone was called man. And then women were like, we want something different. We want to be called something different. We want our own thing. So we're like, all right, fine. We'll call you woman. All right. You happy? You're a woman and everyone's man. And like, great. And then years later, like, wait, you're just saying man and you're not including woman. Like, what about men?
Oh my God.
And they were like, no, but man does mean both.
Yeah. Yeah.
So exactly. It's like they were upset. So they got their own word and now they're upset that.
But then now they're upset because they're not included. It's so ridiculous.
And of course, we're not talking about all women here, just easily offended people. But
just
again,
the ones who are offended for other people or themselves sometimes.
Or themselves, exactly. All right. So moving on.
I take it your conversation is being overheard.
Yeah. My lovely woman. She's so amazing. Right. I've learned so much about women from her. It's great. All right. So, yeah, I think you were at the week.
So, right? Yeah, sorry. We really, really overshared on that one.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So the week is easily broken. That's easy to understand. The scanty is easily scattered, like Brandon said in the other previous verse. Consider a difficulty before it arises. The other guy says prevent trouble before it arises. So this one's cool because it says consider, like think about it, maybe. Think about. And I think it's funny because I hear Spoons talk about this sometimes about how she's an INFP and how she like thinks about things and like all the ways that they might manifest or things. And she kind of like goes through every scenario and back and forth and like, is it going to work out like this? If it does, then I can do this. And if it does this, I can do this. And if it does, like it's funny because I think I found myself doing that like the other day or yesterday or whatever, when I was feeling frustrated about something. And I was like, well, if this happens, then I'll have to do this. And then if it's like this, then I'll have to do this. And I was like, am I thinking like an INFP right now?
You had your INFP think cap on.
I did. But it's sometimes it's not a bad thing, right? It's to consider it and think about it a little bit. And well,
also, usually, when do you usually consider a difficulty? When you're in the middle of the difficulty, that's when you consider it, right? You're thinking about it, you're considering when it pops up. So this is like consider the difficulty before it pops up, right?
Exactly.
So you're right.
And it's not in the way that we talk about where you make it happen because you've thought about it so much because you brought it into the plane. And maybe even when you say consider, sometimes it's just a brief moment. It's not necessarily for hours and hours and hours of meditation.
It's like slight preparation, right? You're like, oh, well, so before you go hiking, you're like, well, I should grab an extra pair of socks and maybe it looks like it might rain because I don't live in Arizona. So I'll grab
umbrella or whatever. Yeah. It's a little bit of preparedness, but yeah, nothing wrong with that. So sorry about that. Okay. And administer affairs before they become disorganized. This goes to what we were talking about when we're talking about a place for everything and everything in its place. That's we're talking about physical items, right? But this could apply to mental items, spiritual items. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
For sure, because when your brain's going all crazy, right? And you're worried about things, if you take care of them before it becomes a problem. It's like anything else, really. They're just giving really good advice here. It's like just take care of those things while they're small. And this,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
lovely advice.
It is. It's like, okay, I'll give an example. So sometimes in the backyard, I'll get like weeds and I don't necessarily go out there and pull them when they're small. So they grow into these really thick, like the roots will be like this thick. And then I'm like, crap, I could have pulled it when it was a freaking baby. Like when the root was like this small and it would have just come right out. But no, I just looked at it from the window and said, not pulling you.
Not today.
Not today. So that's what happens.
It's also like children. I would imagine this would apply when you're raising a child or whenever, dealing with a child. Those are the formative years. That's when everything is so important.
When they're very small and babies.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's what's going to, all the trauma, all the things they go through and stuff like that, that's what's going to shape their life. And if they don't wake up, like we were saying earlier, if they don't wake up, they're just going to go on autopilot because of all the stuff that happened to them, like a wind-up car. And that's where when people argue about if free will or determinism, like what is it, right? And that's where you get that it's kind of both, because so.
And it's the karma you came into the realm with, it's some of it is already like you're gonna have to go through this to experience that.
And if you think about these cycles and the way they manifest, it's funny because that show I was talking about, the lead character is this guy who's he's like a
What's the name of the show?
It's called You.
Okay.
And he's like a serial killer, but like by accident. Like he doesn't really mean to be, but he ends up just killing people because of certain circumstances. Like I won't give too much away, but he ends up in these cycles and you see him. And if you're really paying attention as the seasons, each season is like a separate cycle of another woman that he finds or whatever. And these things things change and he actually learns and grows. It's really cool. But so if you think anyway, as a person has cycles, right? They go through things, they get into a relationship, whatever, and they go through people, whatever, they married and divorced or whatever, they have these cycles. Now, if they have children and they treat their children the same way, their children are going to have very similar cycles. So you could argue that it's the same cycle that's been being handed down for how many generations? And this is something we've talked about, but it's just a better way to illustrate it a little bit, right? So you have this cycle. And if you could stop that cycle, it's not going to be passed down to the next generation. It's like so mind blowing. And I think that's really how we kind of, if you want to change the world, and make it a better place, that's how you do it. Or if you just want to make your own life better in your own family situation, right? You do this stuff. And if you have children, kind of teach them this stuff or this mindset anyway, just you don't even have to talk about the Tao. If you just live this in front of them, I think that's probably the best way to teach children is just live it. And we've talked about this before too, right? Do as I say, not as I do. The parents are always telling us not to do things like don't drink, don't smoke. And I'm like, but you're doing it. It looks like so much
fun.
Like if you guys were doing it and it looked like you're having a bad time, I mean, maybe the end of it's a bad time, but yeah. So anyway, I feel like that's the same thing, right? You start off small, but again, like you were saying, spiritually too, and physically, or inside in the thought realm, it starts with these small thoughts. Like if you you have an idea, like I want to write a book. You have this idea, and then there's a voice, you'll never be able to finish it. No one will like it. Why are you special? Where are you going to be famous? How are you going to write a book and everyone's going to like it? No one's going to like it. All these little voices, and then that's the cycle. Because where did you hear those voices before? Probably from your parents or just other kids when you were growing up or whatever. Or
other people. Yeah.
Other people. And then and this is something we always talk about, right? But we love talking about it. And that's really what you're running off of. That's the programming that I was talking about, right? The wind up car. It's this little voice in the back of your head. And if you could start off small, that's what you go against.
Yeah.
You could just ask that voice questions. And that's the thing. If you're going to write a book or any of those things, it doesn't matter. Like we do the Sharon show. We've had like different levels of success throughout different episodes and months. Like we used to, some months we got like hundreds of people watching us. Sometimes it's only like 50 or 30 or whatever, but we're getting better. We just keep doing it. We're plowing along. We're not worried about, that kind of stuff. So I think the benefit for that is just that we see in our own lives. It's like our work anyway.
What you said made me think of this. So like it says administer affairs before they become disorganized. And in my head, I think of these thoughts in your head, like, for example, maybe like a tree growing, right? Negative thoughts. And if you like prune the tree, like me pulling weeds, right? If I prune the tree or I pull the weeds when it's small, it's going to stay manageable, right? But if I just let it grow and grow, then I'll just be a ball of negativity because I'll always have negative thoughts about something. And if you can like watch those thoughts and like prune them as you go throughout the day, like those people that tell you to like watch or like do just like one simple thing and start, and it's not simple necessarily, but if you could do one thing during your day and monitor those thoughts and like notice them. Don't get mad at yourself for them, but just notice that they're there, right?
Yeah.
When you start noticing, then you're like, oh, wow, that's there. And so you can start working on it at that level in baby steps again, right? Before it becomes a massive tree.
Baby steps indeed. And this goes, I'm going to talk about self-sabotage now. I have this note to talk about it, but this leads right into it because you can think of it as somebody who is starting off as like an artist or a comedian or a singer or whatever, and they start to get some level of fame, or even somebody's in a relationship, right? Somebody, say you meet somebody, or you have a person, you meet somebody, right? You get all excited, but then there's these little voices in their head. I know for me, I'd always be like, oh, what if they don't like this about you? Or what if they don't like that? Or, they're so beautiful, they're not going to, or this about them.
Yeah.
They have all these voices now.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that you could proceed from there. Most people, or we'll just say the regular way, the non-spiritual, whatever, the other way that we used to do before we woke up is we would just kind of escape those voices, right? You do some drugs or alcohol or whatever, sex or whatever, and you escape that. And as the relationship grows, you have to escape them more and more and more. And then it gets to a point where it might get serious and all your doubts and fears are fucking huge at that point. They're not these little things that start off as a little voice. It's a literal fear because you spent life with this person. You've imagined a future with them. And now that future that you've imagined is threatened, right? Because when you first meet somebody, you could, maybe maybe they're the one.
If they don't like you, fine, bye. You only met them once, whatever.
Exactly, right? And you don't have all these, but if you were with them and you like all these things about them, and then you're going to fear that you're going to lose all these things. And that's when the self-sabotage comes in, because that voice just keeps getting crazier and crazier, scarier and scarier. And you have to step it up more and more to escape it. And then before long, you're cheating on them, because that's the only way you can escape is from that adrenaline from cheating or whatever. Right.
Oh man.
And that's why, and the same thing with like a comedian or a rock star or whatever. That's why some of them lose it and fucking explode and implode, because they can't understand why people are buying their albums, because they think they're a piece of shit. Right. So but other people who have like a spiritual practice, they stick around, like Maynard from Tool and all that. You know what I mean? Like he's, when you're working on yourself, then you have a flow, and it's the same thing. So this is a problem, not just of like poor people or people without money or whatever. This is a systemic problem for everybody at all different levels of class. So, and if you do want to move up in class or whatever, if you're somebody who's not had a lot of money your whole life and you can't understand why, this might be it. This is probably what it is. You're afraid to succeed because you feel like you don't deserve it. And those little voices that started off as little voices, now they're fucking ninja, samurai, mental demons. But guess what helps?
God help us all.
Meditation and all that kind of stuff, spiritual work. That's what gets rid of positive self-talk. So that's really what I want to say about self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When I was feeling like anxious about whatever topic, yesterday I like had to sage myself and like tell myself it was going to be okay, that everything happens for a reason. Maybe I don't know the reason why right now. Maybe it's a test of my ability to respond or react or whatever. And so, and I had to tell myself, stop thinking of those negative thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. So yeah.
And you're able to do that, I would say, more easily now because you have meditated and you have practice with just trying to let go of thoughts. Because most people have no idea, right? You think the thought is just you, and you're like, oh shit, I'm a crazy person. I want to, I have this terrible thought about whatever it was. It's like, no, we're like receivers or something. I don't really know, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either.
maybe it's
I
just
don't know.
consciousness the way it works. We're tapped in
Yeah.
because I feel like even if we're near people on their level, we can like pick up what they're putting
Yeah.
down, and we might get a weird
Oh,
thought. Doesn't mean that that's what you are, like,
yeah,
but the more you
exactly.
focus on that, then you do become that thing. You're like, why? And you push it away. You're like, why did I have that weird thought? And you keep pushing it away,
Yes.
right? You just laugh at it. Humor's another really good one for letting things go. You could try to find how it's funny. Like I say all the time, we're going to look back on this and laugh. So why not laugh now?
Okay, so I haven't said this to anybody because it was so random. But the other day, I was just going about my business. I don't even know what I was doing. I don't remember what it was, just like going about my day or whatever. And maybe I was washing the dishes or something, right? And this random thought pops into my head about like something about killing myself or something. And I'm like, where the did that come from? Like, I've never had a thought like that in my life. Like, that is like, where's this coming from? This is really freaking weird. And I was like, okay, bye. Like, I just kept going about my day, but I was like, that was freaking weird.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. You think about, oh, what would really, but again, what people have to understand is just a thought that you can let go. And what happens, I think, too many times is people are like, why did I have that thought? And then they try to analyze it.
They
And
freak
while you're
out. Yeah.
doing it, you're singly focused on it. And when you're singly focused on something in this realm in your mind, guess what? It gets created
Amplified and projected out and
and
becomes
created in the physical,
reality.
manifested. That's the word. Yeah, manifestation. So, um, yeah, it's totally normal. That's the other thing too. We probably shouldn't talk about this on YouTube, but it's normal to have all kinds of fucking thoughts. The unnormal thing is the thing that's not normal is to get obsessed with that one thought. That's you just let it go. We've all, especially with television, if you've watched TV most of your life, like most people, you're going to have all kinds of crazy thoughts. And those, let me tell you, those things, especially I've been rewatching some stuff, that I used to watch, and I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is crazy. But that's the thing too, though. And that's why I don't feel like a victim, because they're not, everything they're doing is a volunteer. Like, you're volunteering to watch this, and you're also volunteering your own point of view. Because if you associate with the main character because he's supposed to be the hero, and you get upset if he gets hurt or whatever, and he has a flaw, and you identify with him, you might keep that flaw, Whereas when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, interesting. This guy is, he probably has issues because his dad, whatever,
You're so right. Oh my God. I've been rewatching stuff too that I used to watch a long time ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, if you don't identify with any of the characters, it's a whole different experience.
It is. It's different because back then I was like, I watched it specifically because of this character that I was like, I remember him. I want to see how he played out his character. Lestrade in the modern Sherlock, that actor, he's British. I forgot his name. I don't even remember his name.
Morton Downey.
The one with what's his name from Lord of the Rings?
I said Morton Downey Jr. I meant the other one, Robert Downey Jr. Morton Downey Jr. If anybody gets that reference, he was the guy that used to be on TV, like in New York, and he would just bring people on to scream at each other. He was like the original Jerry Springer. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about him.
Sorry, where did that come from? See, we never know.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, I was rewatching this other show called The Forsyte Saga, and I hadn't seen in a long time. And I just kind of wanted to see what it was all about again, because it's been years since I watched it. And I was specifically like looking at that character because I was like, I remember liking him and thinking he was very nice and like whatever. So I was watching it and I was just like, I had almost like a different point of view this time. And I was like, what? That is so, but at the same time, I still had like compassion,
Exactly.
It was
And that's
crazy.
yeah, that's funny. Maybe that's the secret. And, I just wrote a note here because that might be an interesting like book or pamphlet, like how to watch TV mindfully, right? Because people are like, TV's evil. And it's like, well, not really. It's just a tool. And if you're watching it,
Yeah.
if you're watching it unconsciously, if you're just like, oh, then yeah, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah. Very cool. Sorry. We went on a really total.
Where did we go? All right, we were oversharing. We're like an oversharing Antarctica. We need a helicopter. Come get us. We're at the ice wall. All right.
Oh my God.
All right.
The dome. Oh my God.
Where were we even?
The Dome of the Rock. I'm just kidding. That's a totally different one.
We were a tree. A tree.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
A tree that it takes both arms to encircle grew from a tiny rootlet. And if you've ever been to the West Coast and you've been to like the Redwood Forest in that area, there's like big giant, I think there's sequoias and redwoods and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, the Redwood Forest. Those trees are freaking enormous. You can drive a car under them. They have this one where you like can drive under the roots of one of the big trees.
That's crazy.
It takes multiple people to encircle a tree like that, right? But yet that tree grew from a tiny rootlet, right? Crazy.
Very crazy. And there was probably trees here that were even bigger, but that's a different show.
Yeah. Allegedly, I've seen that thing about there are no forests. Have you seen that? Because allegedly our forests are like just weeds.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I didn't. But I can
compared to what used to be.
Oh yeah, there are no real forests.
I guess. I mean, I never watched fully those videos, but I've heard of them.
How dare you?
So, a pagoda, and pagodas are those like Japanese looking buildings?
Yeah, I think so.
A pagoda of 9 stories was erected by placing small bricks. Well, there you go. Just like even tall buildings, right? Skyscrapers and stuff.
Yep, you're exactly correct, by the way.
A journey of 3,000 miles begins with one step. If one tries to improve a thing, he mars it. If he seizes it, he loses it. And I think we talked about a lot of these already.
Yep. And I'm just going to share this really quick because you were absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. A pagoda.
Oh, there you go.
You can get, if you go to a mall, you can get your ears pierced. Remember the piercing pagodas?
Oh, yes, I remember. I think I used a piercing pagoda to pierce mine. Yeah, something like that.
See, there you go. All right. Yeah, it's very similar. I think the other ones are going to be similar too. So maybe we could breeze through them then. Let's see. We don't want to rip anybody off though. We don't want to jip anybody.
Can you think of an example of if you try to improve a thing, you mar it, or if you seize something, you lose it?
Oh yeah. If you try to improve a thing, people don't think the world's perfect. And if you try to improve it, you're going to ruin it. And all that means is that you have this projection because you don't feel like you're perfect. So how dare something else out there be perfect? And you're trying to fix that thing out there instead of trying to fix yourself is really what they're talking about. I feel that's what I get out of this.
I like that. I like it.
And the other one,
trying to see something and lose it.
Yeah, exactly. And I scrolled down. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. Okay, one tries improving. Yeah, and if you seize it, so this is what I was going to say too about the seizing. So it's another case of physical versus spiritual. So on the physical, if you hold something, you're not going to lose it, right? If you're holding it, but if you are attached to it spiritually, if you're attached to something, you're going to probably lose it.
Easy come, easy go. Like people who are young kids and their parents buy them a brand new whatever car, and it's like spanking shiny new brand spanking new BMW or something, or Mustang or something, and then like they crash it later, within however long, and it's like, well, they didn't really, they just got it real quick, like without having to really do anything, and so it was easy to lose.
It's the same thing with a car loan, right? Because I've gotten car loans and I didn't care as much, but like when I pay cash for a car, I'm like, all right, this fucking, because I remember every dollar I earned, so true, so true. And we're not saying you shouldn't buy your kid a car, because if you teach them about attachment,
yeah,
you don't feel worried. Could it be?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
kid, listen, just do your best. All right, we're not giving parental advice. Just do your best, and we're happy.
yeah, I wasn't trying to be
no, I know. I just like to say that because that's one thing. It's like diet. If you're talking about diet or like parental advice or politics or religion, people are just like,
I can't tell anybody what to do. Like I've gone through all kind of myriads of diets and supplements, and that's not the answer for me, because very few of those things have ever actually done anything for me. It's actually, I'm sure it has to do with the inner work.
But yeah,
like it'll work sometimes, but it'll only work for a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's like the self-sabotage thing I was talking about. It's another addiction, a diet or whatever. Yes. It's another attachment. Really, you're just attached. Yeah. And like Sharon and I have talked about with our eating, because we've gone through several different things, like she just said, and both of us are kind of at the point where we just kind of eat what's most readily available, but also, you try to do it clean as possible, and when you're shopping for yourself and all this stuff. But also, like, I do DJ a lot of weddings, so I'll eat the food, but it's more about a gratitude thing, I think. And yes, for doing it. I think also just eating less is better, and that's always the challenge, right?
Not being attached to eating a lot, like just being like, I don't even need that much. And I've had to work on that myself.
100%. Yeah, I got the daytime figured out, but once the sun goes down.
Yeah, snack time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I think you got to go to 1-4. Yeah. So Stan Rosenthal part 1. Okay.
Yeah.
If problems are accepted and dealt with before they arise, they might even be prevented before confusion begins. So that's pretty much what we were talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this way, peace may be maintained. The brittle is easily shattered and the small easily scattered. So he's just being a little poetic here, which I like, mm-hmm. and pretty much reiterating what they were saying in the other verses.
He does insert this like before confusion begins. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that. They might even be prevented before confusion begins. And that's another good way. This word confusion is a good way to look at it, because
Confucius? Just kidding.
Confucius, because of instead of the Abrahamic religion thing of punishing and thou shalt not, and we're sinning and we're evil. No, we're just confused. You're confused. Yeah. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
What they do.
Why?
Confused.
They're fucking confused.
I'm confused.
I'm confused. Oh, by the way, my love of my life, she's been speaking a lot more Spanish to me, but it's mostly like, ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa aquí? She just like yells out like, me hambre, me alto hambre, atractivo. Like she just. So it's great. We're learning Spanish.
Oh my!
She's praising me.
It's funny because that's hilarious, because the other day we were at my sister's house for Thanksgiving, and she and her husband, and he's from Mexico, so he speaks Spanish, and his parents also were there and they speak Spanish. So anyway, we were talking about me and Cody, and they asked Cody, like how you speak, a little bit of Spanish, and he's like, un poquito, whatever. And then they're all like, you guys should practice at home. You guys should talk to each other in Spanish. I'm like, that's kind of hard for me because English has become like my dominant language. And so like I haven't probably spoken entirely in Spanish since I was like 2 or something, or 4, I don't know. So
Be a good exercise though.
yeah, I would.
You guys, it'd be funny to make deals where like ahead of time we're like we only fight in Spanish or something like that. Like,
or
like
yeah,
if you have a criticism, you have to like you have to breathe.
You have to formulate your because then you have to like think about what you're gonna say, and then you don't end up getting in an argument because it's funny. I don't know.
Yeah, or it just diffuses the situation.
Yeah,
exactly. You got to wear a silly hat or something. Yeah.
Good call.
Oh, so funny. All right, let's get to this.
Sorry, where was I?
No, good.
Oh, you
story,
were.
though.
Sorry,
So
you were
it is
reading.
so true.
Was easy. Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty self-explanatory there.
Yes, and another tree metaphor. So great trees grow from the smallest shoots. A terraced garden from a pile of earth. Yeah, so it's the same thing we've been talking about with small steps. Journey of 1,000 miles begins by taking the initial step. He who contrives defeats his purpose. This is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And he who is grasping loses. So he who contrives. So if you're contriving, what is contriving? You're just trying to make this plan that, it's like, no, you don't make the plan. There's already one.
Contriving is different than considering. It's like the negative way. It's
contriving is like hand rubbing, Yeah, I can't. Oh, you know what? I can't hand rub. So I guess that's good.
Smithers.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe I was hand rubbing too much.
Oh my God.
I got to take a look in the mirror. There's a mirror right here, by the way, on the wall. Right above the computer, there's a little
look at your nose shadow. Just kidding.
Oh, it's not too bad down here. Right upstairs, It's worse because I'm right on the side of the mirror or light. I mean, the light's at a different angle, especially the sun from upstairs. All right, let's do it. Where was we? Yeah, so that's pretty much the same, I think. And then we talked about contrives. Okay, cool.
All right, so Aleister Crowley calls this attending to details. It is easy to grasp what is not yet in motion. We talked about that before. To withstand what is not yet manifest. Okay, so he's saying what is easy, right? It's easy to withstand what is not yet manifest. Withstand. I wonder what he means by that.
Withstand?
Yeah, I guess it's like if it's not yet a thing, then you can tolerate it or withstand it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's something that exactly. Well, and how does he say it? I took it down, but did I even share it? Yeah,
you did. It is easy to withstand what is not yet manifest. Like all these things he's listing it is easy to, right?
Yes, because if you have an issue with something, you can't withstand it, or it's way harder to withstand something that's in the realm, right? It's facing in front of you, like a dog.
It's in your mind only. Yeah.
If there's a dog that's like barking and snarling at you, it's easier. But if the neighbor put up a fence, it's like beating all that, right? It's like in the mental plane. He's like, oh, maybe I should keep my dog away from the street. I'll put up a fence, and bang, there was a fence, and now you don't have to worry about it, I guess. All right.
So going along with it is easy part, it is easy to break what is not yet compact. So something that's more dense, I guess, is harder to break than something that is not. So I'm not quite sure how to think about that one.
Also, an agreement is called a compact, right? So like, what if you're trying to invade a land and all these people get together and sign a compact to...
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it just popped in my head. So there you go.
So
if you're an invading
to break an agreement, basically.
Well, that all also, right. But my, but what I was saying is before it's compact, it's easier to break a deal before it's signed. Also, you can look at it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I haven't signed yet. I have no contract with you.
It's easier to end something before you commit. All right.
Exactly. Like makes me think of like engagements and marriages and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's why you have that period, right? Because you need a little period before to make sure it's
To
really
consider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I have my own thoughts on all that, but maybe we've
as
talked
we
about
all
it
do.
before.
Yeah, as we all do. Listen, I would just be living in a mud hut somewhere, probably with like. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I get the tradition part. Like, I was in a.
Well, you were married also.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been. I've gone through that period. So the whole like preparing for it and like planning it and then like all the things that are involved. And it's like, I don't even want to think about that.
You got to start that journey one step at a time.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Start
if you're going
with
to
the
do
invitations
it.
and the list of people.
I
and
know.
Then, no.
I know.
No, I hear it.
Well, I'm not like against it, but I'm just kind of like, I'm not necessarily for it either.
No, I hear you. I think this is my thing. I think it's up to everybody in their own specific relationship to do whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're creating another reality. Because before it was just you. Now you're creating another reality where there's this other consciousness that's part of it, a part of this thing that you're creating. So it is, whatever feels right for you, do it. Is what I say.
Yeah. And then for me, it's like, I think because I'm like going with the flow and I'm just like, God will bring about whatever situation is meant to happen. I'm not worried about it.
Exactly. All righty.
All right. Where was I at? It is easy to disperse what is not yet coherent. Interesting. So if you have like a coherent thought, let's just say,
yep,
then it's coherent. But if it's not yet, then you can easily.
You could just let it go, right? Meditating, yeah. We've been taught. Yeah, exactly. Just letting it go.
Act against things before they become visible. And I think we talked about that sort of before in other versions.
Yep.
Attend to order before disorder arises, I'm going to say, because it's probably easier to understand. And yeah, we talked about that, a place for everything and everything in its place.
Yeah. You know what that's from, right?
If only. We're working on it here. We got those things from IKEA that are called Kallax, and they're like the cubbies. They're like squares, and we put one in each of our offices so we can have cubbies to put like random stuff and like organize it into cubby holes.
Great idea.
Yeah,
I got to do that. Stop making me feel bad, Sharon. Just kidding. I'm projecting onto you. I'm projecting.
Yeah.
I was
joking. It really was out of absolute necessity.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Like you have things on the floor and you're like, why is it on the floor? We need something to put it on in whatever. I still need to do some more letting go of things.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of letting go of things, I'm going to let go of the view of us and go back to the show.
Oh, yeah. All right. So then the tree which filleth the embrace grew from a small shoot. We talked about that. The tower 9-storied rose from a low foundation. Oh, that he puts that a little differently, but that's cool. The 10-day journey began with a single step, and he who acteth worketh harm. He who acts works harm. He who grasps finds it a slip. Okay. He puts that a little bit differently. Basically similar as the other ones.
If you're trying, then you just flow state, right?
Yeah. Well, he who acteth. We have the Ace of Wands that we pulled today. That's action.
Yeah, but also though
in flow, though.
He who acts, so it's the person who's acting, which they're you can look at it though as the other form of acting, like as an actor. So they're
Yes.
playing a part. Someone who's playing a part is working harder. Someone who, it's like they're trying, they're acting, or they even have to perform an act. So somebody who thinks that they actually have to perform an act when they don't realize it's God working through them. That's just a metaphor we can use, right? That's the person who's going to have a hard time. But if you just realize that it's God working through you, then you go, okay, God, I'm going to work through this because I'm just you working through this situation, and I'm going to figure it out because you put this in front of me. And that's the point of view that you have. So I think and then if not, you're a victim and you're like, what can I do? Oh my God, I gotta do these. Yeah. I'm just,
and he says he works harm.
Yes.
He says he works harm. So, wow.
Oh yeah. Harm. Yeah, exactly. Harm to himself and harm to, I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I thought it was. I had the things lined up for harm at first, but then for some reason I switched it to hard. But yes, harm. That's hard. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So the part 2 now, right?
Yes. Part 2. Stephen Mitchell. Part 2. Part 2 from Stephen Mitchell verse. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. Just what I said. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. So this is kind of like, you could say calm, but you can also say mindful, because you're calm, your mind, you're usually calm and you're mindful too. So he has nothing, thus he has nothing to lose. So it's attachment, not attached. Exactly. Right.
Jinx.
So curse, you owe me a Pepsi or whatever. What does he desire? What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's in the unlearned thing here, I'll say. So I think we talk about desires all the time, so you get it, right? But with the learned thing, he learns to unlearn. And by unlearn, it just means you're retraining yourself, right? Because we were all...
And letting go.
Programmed, exactly, and letting go. We were all programmed a certain way to do things, whatever, but you're kind of retraining and unlearning all these things that you knew before, and all of the lies that are out there in society, and all the inversions, right?
I call that wiping the slate clean.
Yeah,
I had to do that.
And
it's
also
the unlearning process.
It goes the whole thing about like he who knows he knows nothing is like the smartest wise man, or whatever. It's the same thing as you're unlearning it, and it means because when you learn something and you're like, I learned this today, you're taking it as a fact, right? And you're like,
yeah, I was going to say, it's a fact.
It's a fact I learned today. But when you unlearn things, then you can just look at stuff objectively. Like we were talking about earlier with television, you're just looking at it as like, this is something somebody created as a work of fiction. Let's check it out. Let's see what happens to the character. Oh, why did he fail? Because of himself.
So, the whole like, Thanksgiving joke where like don't say things at the Thanksgiving table, like if what is that
politics and
yeah well, it wasn't exactly at the Thanksgiving table because first of all it wasn't allowed. It was prevented. My sister was like, no.
Good.
But
she's smart.
The next day my brother was like, let's go have pizza. And we took him to this place that we like. So it happened. And I usually, I try not to get involved, but somehow I find myself getting involved sometimes. And it's more because like he was like, show me some facts or give me some facts about because he says he wants to learn, he wants to understand, but the thing is, some people really say that, but they really don't. And
you're talking God about your brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's fine. I love him. He's where he's at. I'm not like, I don't judge him.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Totally.
It's just like where he's at. And but he's like, the facts. I'm like, I think I was saying something about, I can't remember what I did, but it was kind of like, I was annoyed because I'm like, how do you know it's a fact? Like who told you? Like, do you really know? Like, how do you know? You don't know. You know what I mean? So
did you see it on TV? You saw it on TV, didn't you? Oh no. Oh no.
Exactly. I'm like, you don't know it's a fact. That's just my issue. That's all. That's all I gotta say. And that's where I let myself get caught up.
Good. That's okay. It's all good in the hood. You know, sometimes it happens. I do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got some facts. Look up Lem in JFK. Just look that up. All right. Where was we?
Speaking of Lems, I like their shoes, lemshoes.com. Now, I'm not,
I'll check it
selling
out.
them or anything,
We're not
but
sponsored.
I like their shoes, and I am allegedly getting some for Christmas because there was a Black Friday, Monday, Cyber Monday deal.
Amazing. Good for you. All right. So I did actually get a new pair of Wildlings because they're on some crazy clearance.
Oh my
and I haven't
God.
those. Remember the ones that I originally bought? Those I haven't worn them in Arizona. They're like, I still have. I wear those all the time. So I'm like, I got some that were like the same size, but they're blue and they're on a crazy clearance. But they're blue.
Nice. I like blues.
Yeah. So
I don't really get a chance to wear mine that often.
well, yeah.
It's not cold.
You should try if you do or looking for a shoe, and especially if you can wear socks with them, but you don't have to. The washi ones, just the low cut shoes. I wore them all summer, mostly without socks, and it's the best breathing shoe. I know we turned this into like a shoe podcast, but I've always had issues with my shoes, but sometimes I wear
issues with your shoes.
I mean, sometimes I'll wear socks. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying issues with your shoes.
Issues. Yo, you having issues? I've had issues all my life. I mean, issues with my shoes.
The people of the shoes.
Oh yeah, that's the code. We're gonna get taken down. You guys, we know what you're really talking about. You're trying to protect our shoes. All right. Anyway, we're bringing it back. That's enough about shoes. So, I love this part of the verse. It was one of my favorite always because this is Stephen Mitchell, the one I listen to a lot. So, it says, what he desires is not desire. What he learns is unlearn. Okay. So he simply reminds people of who they have always been. Mm-hmm. I mean, what? How simple, and
you are already perfect. You are perfect. Everything is already perfect.
You just remind people of who they've always been, which means you're not judging them. Right? You're just in the I love what you said, Sharon, of course. But yeah, you're just you're in the moment, not judging. It's capybara. It's a total capybara energy, which is hard for everyone to pull off. Right?
It.
Yeah,
capybaras are so cute.
And it's it's like I'm in a good capybara situation because one of my brothers, his wife, or they've been together for like 20 years. They have a daughter. She doesn't
just say wife. It's not.
She doesn't get along. Yeah, his wife. She doesn't get along with my parents and really anybody for stupid reasons. And she's whatever. That's. But I would say it's probably more her fault because she's just seeing things wrong. But anyway, I still talk. I'm the only one in the family that will still talk to her.
Miscommunication. Yeah, you still do. Yeah.
I think I've talked about that before, right? Yeah. So, and it's just something that's come up recently. I've talked to Elizabeth about it, and she's like, I'm just a capybara. Like, listen, people have been through shit, man. Yeah,
Yeah, it's always a matter of miscommunication.
I think my new motto for people is
misunderstanding.
Just wait and see. Like when they ask me a question, why are you doing this? I'm like, just wait and see. Like, I know, just wait and see.
That's what Jesus said. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, I was thinking of something in the Bible that says, come and see. Never mind. Sorry.
Come and see. And they did. Johnny Cash uses that in this song. Yeah.
Oh.
The song. Yeah. All right. So we're over Sharonville.
Sorry. We're getting there.
So yes, he simply reminds me.
It's 1:33 here. So it's 3:33 for you.
And it was just 33 seconds.
We missed the 33.
When you said it, it was 33 seconds because I looked.
Shut up.
I looked and it was past 30. It was like at 36. So when you said it was 30. Yeah. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. Yeah. So it again, it's one of those paradox kind of things.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anything but the Tao. He just, so basically it really means is he doesn't care about his own point of view. I could say
he's not attached.
Not attached.
Mm-hmm. So he's like a capybara.
Exactly.
The capybara cares for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay. The Dwight Goddard, verse 64, the second half. The wise man, therefore, not attempting to form things, does not mar them, and not grasping after things, he does not lose them. Okay. So this is interesting because he pulled from the other part of the verse because other people said that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this already. So he kind of pulled that other piece into this part of the verse. It's always hard to like cut these verses into like, because sometimes people will say things a little differently and they'll put them in different places. But anyway,
based on how they translate it and where they put it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the people in their rush for business are ever approaching success, but continually failing. People in the rush for business are ever approaching success, but yeah, because here's one thing you could say about that is there are people. I just looked at my totally random. I just looked at my Kindle thing, and I had a reading streak of 33 days. Speaking of 33s, but what was I going to say? Oh, people in their rush for business are ever approaching success, but continually failing. Why? Because here's an example you could think of. People are always like, it's not enough, right? They'll be like, oh, I want to be a this, or I want to be that. When I worked for a major corporation that was doing just fine, like they were doing very well, but no, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough.
You got to impress shareholders, Sharon. Sharon, you should know about shareholders. Yeah, you have to impress.
Exactly.
You don't know about impressing shareholders? I'm impressing them right now.
Exactly. Oh, so, they were always trying to push the envelope on that. And then it says, but continually failing. Well, the problem is not only are they failing in their mind because they're like, oh, it's not enough. We're failing. If we're not reaching this, whatever, we're failing. But they're also failing because when you're doing something, you're trying to get it done so quickly and you're like pushing out products and like, oh, this needs to be out by this. And like, I don't care what your deadline is. It needs to be this. I don't care if you're going to spend the whole weekend here, trying to figure out this problem and fix the bug. I don't care. You're going to push it out. And so like products would get released with bugs and all this stuff and they wouldn't care. You know what I mean? It's like,
I know what you mean. I have a smartphone.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You're exactly describing what happened to Apple.
Yes.
Their computers, their phones, everything were great. It was like at one point it was fucking perfect.
They had, I wish
Google Maps, same thing. They tried way too hard. Google Maps I have like I could probably do a whole bit about Google Maps. Like I could be sponsored by Google because like it's
There was an app called Picasa and then Google bought it and then they effed it up and then they deleted it. Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. They just call it Photos now.
It's because they want everybody on Google, Sharon.
It was a fantastic app. Like it was the best app for cataloging photos. The best app. And they just effed it up.
There's probably one out there that's like it. Somebody probably stole the format.
I mean, there's Digicam, which I use, but
I just take pictures and then forget that I took them and just
me too.
carry them around with me for the rest
I'm just
of
saying
life.
that because like I used to be better at, well, I don't know. I wouldn't say I used to be better at it. I tried to be good at cataloging my photos, but anymore, no time.
No, I hear you. Yeah, that's probably one. Listen, if you could solve that problem for people in a way that they don't even have to think about it, you would be a trillionaire. That's my new trillions of dollars.
A trillionaire.
Trillions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so you're at one must be careful.
Oh, sorry, where was I? One must be thank you. I was like totally spaced out. One must be as careful to the end. Can you move your little mouse?
Oh, my bad. Squeak.
One must be as careful to the end as at the beginning if he is to succeed.
So true.
Yeah, like people like, oh, build their, empire, build their business or whatever, and they're so careful at the very beginning. But then, like I said, they get to this place where there's like this status. There's like, oh no, we have to keep this going. We have to make more and more and more. Like there's a point where it's going to end. It's going to plateau. Like I don't understand how people think that it can't. I'm like, I was working there and I'm just like, do you not understand that this doesn't go on forever?
That's
like,
why,
I don't get that.
That's why corporations are living entities. A corporation isn't a living entity because they said it is in a book somewhere. It's because it is a living entity. It has a life of its own. It grows. It sucks resources. Its only job is to get bigger. So anyway.
Yeah. It's
Think
horrible.
about it.
Sorry,
and a person
in my
is technically
opinion.
a corporation, legally. So it's like, Anyway, that's not what this show's about. It's all perfect, though. And that's why when you fix yourself, that's all that really you do, because you see all these issues in the world and you're just like, isn't that special? You become the church lady.
Yeah,
isn't that
special? Church lady.
She's like, or what was the face she made? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Isn't that special? It's like, I'll look it up.
Dana
Show us in the
Carvey?
chat. No, yeah, Dana.
Was it Dana Carvey?
Yeah. Not
Spoons
good.
loves Dana
Not
loved
gonna
Dana
do it.
Carvey.
Yeah, he's great.
I remember her telling me that.
Shout
All
out to
right.
Spoons.
Yeah, shout out to Spoons. Therefore, the wise man desires to be free from desire. He does not value the things that are difficult of attainment. All right, let me just break that down for a second here. Therefore, the wise man desires to be free from desire, which I think is self-explanatory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He does not value the things that are difficult of attainment. I'm grappling with the negatives here. So he values the things that are easy to attain.
Am pretty much. So what he's saying basically is he doesn't value like riches and things that are hard to get.
Yeah,
climbing a mountain. He's not like trying to fucking be the best. He's just being himself.
He's being himself, and he's content and grateful for what he has.
Exactly.
Like that never happened at the facility where I worked in. And they're not the only ones. I'm sure this happens everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always a golden age of a place when it was the best time to work there,
Yes. Yes. And I think I experienced a little bit of that golden age. And then I was just like, after that, it was like, this sucks. I don't like it. I'm not feeling like my spirit isn't vibing with this. It feels gross, But yeah, anyway, go ahead. Your stand-up desk. I haven't stood in ages.
Oh, yeah. All right. We'll wrap this up soon then. It's getting late anyway.
No. What I mean is my stand-up desk.
Oh, you haven't stood it up in ages. Oh, my.
I haven't. It probably it doesn't help that I have a ton of things on the desk that would fall if I stood it up.
I know that issue. Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll stand soon. One day again. All right. So he learns to be unlearned. So there's again, like the letting go of not knowing, like facts. Oh, the facts, right? It's like, well, are they really? Like, can I just say, I don't know? Is that okay? Can I be okay with that? He returns to that which all others ignore. What do you think about that?
Well, you could look at it generally, as in all things that people tend to ignore, or you could just say there's a thing that people ignore and he returns to it, which is like silence, meditation, non-escapism, working on yourself, things like that. He returns to peace or an inner kind of like balance.
Yes. He returns to non-attachment.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, got it. I'll finish that last bit. In that spirit, He helps all things toward their natural development, but dares not interfere. There you go. Like, if, like you said, a quote, dead entity has a life of its own, right?
Yeah.
You just let things happen. You nurture it, like it said earlier. Be careful to the end as at the beginning in order to succeed, if you're to succeed. So just be careful with your whatever, like if it's your business, from just always be careful about it, but let it flow. Don't force things that aren't trying to happen on their own, right?
Yeah, Google Maps.
And so you'll help them toward their natural development.
Yeah.
And don't interfere.
Don't do it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
I think you nailed it. Great job. All right. Part 2. Stan Rosenthal, part 2. The sage does not contrive to win and therefore is not defeated. So again, we were saying like he's not trying to win. So he doesn't have to. It's not a winning and a losing, right? The sage realizes it's not about polarity, right? And these concepts, this is stuff I was talking about with like Elizabeth's family, with other people I know, just normal people that aren't into this stuff. Talk about polarity and all this, and like even the election, I'm like, to me it just looks like a big battery, right?
Yeah, exactly. I like this. Sage does not contrive to win and therefore is not defeated. It's when I think of like winning, it's like you have this, like there's a winner and a loser. There's there's competition, whatever. I've never really resonated with that feeling, even though I think there are some things in my personality type or my astrological type or whatever that do say that I kind of tend toward that. And I guess I can see a little hint of it sometimes here and there. Like when I'm playing Duolingo. Oh my God, when I'm, doing the lessons and stuff, because they have a freaking stupid little like tournament chart or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, if they didn't have that, I wouldn't be so like,
They know
diligent,
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, which is fine because then you're going to learn, right? But at the same time, sometimes I'm like, but it's too much because there's a balance. I actually have to learn the word and the meaning instead of just plowing through stuff that I'm going to forget. You know what I mean? So I have to take the time to be like, okay, that word means this. I'm either going to write it down somewhere and in my mind try to remember that this word is this word in English, because it like sometimes with Italian, which I'm mostly learning, there's a word in English that, or for me in Spanish, that works, but sometimes there's no word. It's like completely different. And I'm like, where did that come from? Because it makes no sense. So I have to like make associations and be like, okay, this word means that, whether if it's just memory or whatever. But anyway, if I plow through the lessons because it's a competition and I'm trying to get points, then I'm not really learning, am I? It's like, so I have to balance. But anyway, like I said, sometimes I can see that in myself. But for the most part, I've never really liked that because it's very arrogant. And I've ever since I was a kid, I despised arrogance and pride. I saw it very young and I was like, ew, I hate that. When I saw people that were humble, I'm like, I like that because they're humble. Like they're not trying to tell everybody I'm XYZ, I'm this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I always hated marketing too, because it's like,
yeah,
whatever, you know what I'm getting at. But so anyway, I like that the sage. So to me, it's like a sage is like, how people are like, well, you gotta vote. You gotta vote, and it's like, you got this side and you got this side. And it's like, I don't like have to. Like I can actually stand back here and kind of just watch you guys do your
Eat
thing.
each other alive. No.
Yeah. And I think that's the sage. He's like not voting per se. And he like stands back and he's just like
Observing.
I'm not contriving to win anything. So therefore I'm not defeated.
Exactly.
And some people might be like, oh, that's a cop out, And it's like, you know what? Believe what you will. You don't get it, apparently.
Yeah, it could be a cop out. It just depends on your point of view, like
Absolutely.
like the
absolutely.
New Age shit.
Exactly.
The New Age bullshit. Elizabeth and I were listening to Mark Passio's thing on natural law. Oh, she loved it. It was great. We were listening.
Oh, you guys heard the natural law one?
Yeah, the natural law, the original one from New Haven. Yeah,
good one. That was a good one.
She's like, wait, I love it when he's like, my style, my presentation style has been described as combative, like or whatever. Okay.
Cody always, we never recorded.
Oh yeah,
clips, but
we got to get Mark Passio.
That was something we wanted to
Cody
do.
Does impersonations of Mark Passio. It sounds just like him. It's great.
Not doing it, folks. I'm not going to do it.
All right, folks, get offended as you like. All right, folks. He does it way better. Shout out to
And Cody. I always just say PA.
PA. Shout out to Mark Passio too, by the way. Fucking legend.
Yeah.
Because that shit is great. I watch it. I'm just
that natural dude, that video, I want to say, I think that is like, that was my like initiation video into like really opening my eyes to just almost everything. It started with that video. At least
we got to link that one.
I remember it that way.
Part.
There may have been like other things along the way that were like next to it that I saw at the same time, around the same time, that were like leading me to this, like wiping the slate clean. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, he was pivotal.
Now going back
in my growth.
Going back and listening to it now with the new ears that I have, there's so much more he was saying that I just wasn't ready
funny.
to hear.
I have not heard him since then.
Oh, it's great. He's like, he's like, it's you. It's like everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change. He's like, you got to do it. You got to do the work. He's like, fucking screaming.
Dude, I'm going to say it's probably been like, since we started the podcast, I think. So it's been a good 3.5 years that I haven't listened to.
It'll blow your mind.
Or maybe more. It's probably been more like 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It must have been crazy.
It's crazy.
Back to work.
Because I heard about him before I met you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think so. Yeah.
And that was 2021. So
for me, it was like 2020. I think that I heard of Mark Passio.
That was
during all the wonderful revelations that we had that year.
During all the fun.
It was the reveal, right? The year of the reveal or whatever. Did people call it that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what it was revealing the
nonsense.
Exactly.
Where are we at?
Boom. Look at that timing. The sage does not contrive to win, and therefore he's not defeated. So we talked about that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Sorry.
He is not grasping, so he does not lose. So does not lose. It's easy to fail.
He did the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. So
I know,
some of them did it at the end of the previous one, and some did at the beginning. Okay, go ahead.
No, you're good. Exactly. It is easy to fail when nearing completion. Therefore, take care right to the end. Not only in the beginning, and we've said this, reiterated a bunch of times, but it is so important because go in a personality type. Some people are finishers, some people are starters, right?
Oh my God,
both.
yeah.
Be both.
Yeah. Balance yourself out.
Or work with somebody who's a finisher if you're a starter. Work with someone who's a finisher if you're a starter.
Or I don't know.
Exactly. That's how good projects last so long.
Yeah. Because Brandon does some stuff for the show and I do some other stuff for the show and it gets done, And
it's like a great yin yang thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
For shizzle.
And I appreciate it very much.
And I fucking appreciate the shit out of Sharon.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, trust me. There's so many times. If the top things that I feel bad about in my life, most of them are things about the show with Sharon. I'm like, fuck, I needed to do that more. So don't worry, everybody. I appreciate it so much. I don't take it for
And
granted.
I must needs remind you that you don't have to send me those old podcasts. I must.
Oh,
Needs
we're
remind
nearing
you.
it. We're close to completion. I just don't have to fail at the end. That's the key takeaway. The sage seeks freedom from desire, not grasping at ideas. All right. So same kind of thing. He
Well,
brings,
this is kind of different.
yeah, he brings men back when they are lost and helps them find the Tao.
That was different.
Yeah.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of Stephen Mitchell a little bit with his, it just reminds people of who they are, but he brings
Oh,
back men
yes.
when they are lost, because that's another way to look at it. You're confused. You're not sinning. You're lost. You're sleeping.
Yes.
You know, if you woke up from a dream, you wouldn't be mad at yourself because you had a bad dream, would you? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And that's what I say too about, like we've talked about it before, but like you just have to look at people as spiritual children, like spiritual babies. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Let's just say the world as it is right now, you know, there are people out there doing like evil things and, you know, people like, you know, the people that people blame, right? That people today are blaming. I'll just say it that way. Doing things, right, that you would consider atrocious and disgusting and gross, and you wouldn't want any part of it. And there, let's just say, can we have a little bit of spiritual compassion here and see that they're infants, okay? And what are infants? They're narcissistic. They want everything for themselves. They have no care about anybody around them. They don't care. Because why? They have to survive. They know nothing. They rely on mother and father, but they're also narcissistic. So they're looking for, and it's natural. It's not a bad thing, right? That's a pattern of this life that we live, right? Now, if you think about it in a spiritual way, could it be that they behave in this way because that's all they are? Like maybe, and I don't know how this realm exactly works, but for whatever reason, let's just say we're adolescents, okay? For lack of a better, we're just a little bit older than them spiritually because we're actually becoming aware, right? And we're like, oh, wait, I'm this, that, and the other. Like, oh, wow.
like
I'm
I don't
not,
feel like lying anymore just to get what I want because, you know,
Yeah.
like these little weird things.
yeah, like you're maybe, okay, even if you're 5 years old spiritually, you're older than an infant, right? So, but you wouldn't be mad at the baby infant for being a baby and crying for milk and getting as much milk as the baby wants and crying because its diaper's dirty, or you wouldn't be mad at the baby for that, right? That's just the realm in which we live. We're at all different levels of spiritual growth. So let's just say this whole realm is made up of a lot of those spiritual babies, right? We have to have a way to think about it in a compassionate way, I think. Because I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I can get annoyed and bothered by stuff too. You know, from people around me that are acting like fools. And I'm just like, I have to think they're spiritual babies. Just what can you do?
What can you do? And not only are they spiritual babies, but to bring back to what I was saying earlier, they're also, you know, the spiritual babies that have been handed this cycle of trauma.
They picked it for themselves.
In this cycle of behavior. Yeah. This cycle of behavior or pattern or behavior, whatever it is you want, you know, so
it's their karma that they have to work through.
Yes.
It's not yours. It's theirs. So like, why do you have to get involved and upset about their karma?
And technically, it's not even really theirs if their parents passed it to them. And that doesn't mean that they're a victim and they can look at themselves as a victim. But it can help you look at them with more compassion because it's not even there. It was something put upon them when they were a child. So that's another way to help you look at them as a child, because their behavior that they're displaying for you is something that they learned when they were a child. And it worked for them. And I see it comes out in myself too. Sometimes when I don't get my own way with something, I'll like get quiet or whatever, or walk away, or, I'm like, what am I doing? But it's cool though. I don't get hard on myself or hard. I'm not hard on myself because of it. I don't get hard on myself, everybody. I wouldn't want you thinking that. It's not kind of show. I say the funniest. Brandon says the darndest things. We should have a show. Brandon said, what did he say today? All right. I'm going to bring this back.
I used to get myself in a pickle because I would just say something and everybody would turn it into something bad or something dirty. And I'm like, I'm just speaking, anything. I had this coworker. He was funny. And he's like, you could make anything sound gross or dirty. And he would just say the most random things. It was just funny. And and it was funny because like, he'd be like XYZ. And then he'd be like, I don't even know what that means.
Hilarious.
I can't think of an example. I wish I could, but
I know what you mean though. Trust me. Oh yes.
Yeah.
I was, yes. I know plenty of I'm kind of that kind of person, but I know people that, yeah, I know what you mean.
You would probably laugh at him and you guys would get along.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that's funny. All right. So I think we finished that. So it's the last of the last of the last.
All right. And this will be our final thing because we've been going a couple of hours, a little bit over. Oh no, almost at a couple, I think. Maybe? I don't even know. Maybe it's over. Shoot.
Yeah, I think it's over 2 hours. Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, shoot. Never mind. It's quite a bit. Oh, an hour and a half. Oh, sorry, 2 hours and a half, probably. All right. We'll end here. We'll do
the
next verse next time. So anyway, Aleister Crowley, the wise man acteth not, so worketh no harm. He doth not grasp, and so doth not let go. Let me read it with the normal way of reading things these days. The wise man acts not, so works no harm. He does not grasp, and so does not let go. You know what? Maybe they repeat themselves because didn't Aleister Crowley say yes? So he repeated himself.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
And I don't know if they all did it, but definitely Aleister Crowley does it. So the wise man acts not, so he works no harm. He does not grasp, and so does not let go. Does not grasp, so does not let go. So he just holds it lightly.
So he doesn't have to let go because he never grasps it.
Oh shit. That's a good one.
It's like Teflon. Bad analogy. It's like a duck feather with oil, and it's just roll. Well, not
yes.
Duck feathers. They have their ducky oil. I don't mean like mobile oil spill, but yeah, the water just goes right off it. Yeah.
Nice.
And
or like something that's been sealed. Like if you have like granite countertops and they've been properly sealed, the water will just bead.
Wax
or anything that's properly sealed, it'll bead.
Yep.
And then like when you wax your car,
or rain,
the water will just bead on it.
Yeah,
instead of like soaking into it. Good call. Nice. Men often ruin their affairs on the eve of success. Ooh.
And that's what the whole self-sabotage thing came to mind, but we covered that, but yeah, there it is.
There you go. Because they are not as prudent at the end as in the beginning. There you have it, like the others were saying in the other verses. The wise man wills what others do not will. Oh, this is that whole like he does what others don't, or what others forget, or what others ignore, right?
Yep,
the
ignore.
Other verse said.
Perfect.
And values not things rare. Okay, help with the knots here. And and the old English.
So it's kind of like he doesn't value gold or rare things, or like we were saying earlier.
Things that are rare.
Yeah.
He doesn't value things that are rare. I will restate that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like gold and jewels, because, they really aren't rare.
Or even fame, or,
it's not scarcity.
Exactly.
So why, value it?
And the other way you could look at it too is like he just accepts what's given to him.
Yes.
The things that are hard to attain.
Correct.
Kind of like we were talking about with diet before. We don't go crazy with it. We do what we are best, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love ourselves and do our best, and that seems to work the best. And it's kind of like that with everything in life. You just do your best. If you really have integrity, you're truthful, and you're really doing your best, then you're not responsible for your actions. Because guess what? You did your fucking best.
Yeah.
Like Dane Cook, you ever see it? He's like, I did my best. I did my best. He does this whole thing where he cries, and he's like, I did my best. He like acts it out. Yeah. So anyway,
but
some people in the chat will get it, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. And some people might say like, oh, I didn't really do my best. I don't do my best. And it's like, but you did it. So clearly
do it next time.
It was your best. So if you think you can do better, then try next time to do better.
Do your best next time.
But what you did, I would say, was your best that you could do at that moment, because it's what you did.
Exactly, because you didn't have the attention to focus on it, because it was on other things that needed your attention.
Even if you think you were lazy, right? And sometimes that's for a reason, We all have our moments of like being in these spaces where like, I remember reading that quote from Dr. David Hawkins when he said, like, I spent months, or I don't remember how long. He's like, I spent time where I just did nothing. And that was a space and time that I needed for whatever reason.
You have to balance it, man. You got to balance the budget, because all that time you spent thinking you were someone else, all the time you spent learning or whatever. In David R. Hawkins' case, all the time he spent going to school and being a psychologist and all that stuff, like he had to undo it. You had to unlearn it. So sometimes you just got to sit in a fucking quiet room by yourself. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Yeah, it reminds. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. Go ahead. Yeah.
It reminds me of like when deer are being shot at or whatever, or when they get shot or whatever, and they lie down and they have to shake it off. Like, don't they shake it off?
Like Taylor Swift. Yeah, you're right. But they process the trauma immediately, right? And that's what that is. Sometimes your body is literally processing the trauma, and you can't move. You can't get up off the couch or whatever, or out of your bed.
Anything.
And it's okay, because when you feel guilty about it, it just perpetuates the cycle.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with it, then the cycle disappears. Then you don't care about it anymore. And then you're more likely to get out of your bed. Could it be?
I've had to tell myself it's okay, even though like, I'm just like, what? Like yesterday, I was dreading going to Costco just to do this thing that I was going to do. I was going to return something, and I was just dreading it. And I was just like, why am I dreading leaving the house? Like, it's not a big deal. And I mean, I had to like calm myself down, sage myself. Like, I was like, what is going on here?
Yep.
We're just doing our best.
We're just doing our best. But it's cool that you're not hard on yourself, right?
Well, I'm really trying not to be.
There you go. Don't be hard on yourself, Sharon. Give her love in the chat, everybody. Tell her that she's a great person. And just because,
thank you.
Listen, just think about it this way. Be like, I provide this amazing podcast for free for people to consume and to make their lives better. So you're doing your share of the oversharing as I click the share button.
Okay, so he learns what others don't learn. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like about Lem and JFK. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. In 9/11, no.
Yes. Just to open up your points of view, because even if that's not true, it's just another point of view, right?
Yeah, exactly. I still have no idea what the freak happened on the 11th
Yeah,
of September 2001. This
it
is
just informs the view, basically.
I think it never happened in our reality we live in. It is post that, and we're programmed for it to happen. So, hi everybody. What do you think about that theory?
Yeah, see, now people are going to be like, how dare you? How double dog dare you? Okay, he learns what others don't learn and gathers up what they despise. Well, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are things that people despise? Non-attachment, meditation, self-work,
Gratitude, or also the other side of that, which is when you give a lot. What's that one called? When you give a lot?
Oversharing.
Yes, that's one of them. It's another G word, I think. I don't know. When you're
generosity.
Generosity, yes. When you're generous. So,
all right. Well, last couple of lines from Aleister Crowley. Thus, he is in accord with the natural course of events and is not overbold in action. There you go, overbold. Well, that to me speaks of flow state.
balance.
And balance.
Yeah, I love it. All right. We did another verse, everybody. And obviously, we're not going to do another
very long verse
after that. Yeah. Very long verse. So thank you guys for sticking to the end. Morelawsmoreproblems.com is the website. Click on the Over Sharon tab for all of your Over Sharon needs. Let's mix it up a little. The best way we always say to support us is to shave your head and join our cult. No, don't do that. Don't shave your head. But yeah, just be here when we go live every Thursday or we premiere like we're doing this week and hang out in the chat with us and tell your friends about us. But really, the best way to support us is to just try to live what we're talking about, because that's what we're doing. And if you could do it because we're doing it, it's like a freaking pyramid scheme. You guys don't get it. The more people we help, the better it is.
The best kind of pyramid scheme ever.
It's the best pyramid scheme ever.
Dude, I love it. We got to say something about that.
It's a true pyramid.
Yeah.
There's one right there, by the way, little pyramid.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, there's a salt lamp under it. All right. Well, those are the ways, and there's monetary ways to support us monetarily too on that page. So if you'd like to do that as well. Thank you. And I don't know. What do we say to the good people, Sharon?
That once you start over Sharon,
then you totally stop being a Karen.
That's right.
And remember, everybody, I know it really sounds like it, but we're not trying to tell you how to live.
But we are trying to tell you how to join the best pyramid scheme ever.
That's right, everybody. Call now, 1-800-OVER-SHARON. No, just go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. We'll get you signed up right away. All right, everybody. Until then, have a great weekend, and we will see you next.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And Chris, Quiet Sparky Bear, I will see you this Saturday. See you guys later. I'm DJing his daughter's wedding. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be a party. Take care. All right, bye. Oops, I hit the wrong button. This is awkward.